Hi, my name's Ian Wallace. I call myself the Messed Up Counsellor, which is quite an intriguing name. And the podcast you're about to see is one of many, and we've been doing about a year now. So you can look back and see all the things we've talked about with guests and on my own over the process. A lot of the information I use in the podcast initially came from the first book I wrote in 2011. Why do we do that? And what do we do about it? And that came out and was the basis of all my learning, understanding at that time, which is going back a few years now. And that process of understanding how the world works for people, how we can alter, change, and adapt it, was kind of what it was there to do at the initial stages. I've made that now an audiobook as well, so it's available on Amazon as an audio file that you can check out and you can download to your heart's content, and hopefully that will be helpful. In the podcasts, we're trying to look at all sorts of things about human interactions, human dynamics, the world, and how we might understand it more or change it more. So it gives you lots of ideas and tools in order to think about and look at different ways of being or dealing with things. And hopefully that brings people together and makes people more able to connect and communicate. Lots of topics. If you ever want to connect to me, just obviously drop me a comment on the podcast and I shall try as much as possible to reply. And if you've got any ideas of things that we might want to use on the podcasts, then please let me know. My name's Ian Wallace. Thanks for looking and thanks for listening. Hi, welcome to another podcast from Ian Wallace, the Messed Up Counsellor. I thought it might be a good idea because we've been going over 2 years now, to look at the process so far in this podcasting journey and why I do it and what I've learned from it. Because there's lots of people that say to me that they'd like to do a podcast. And obviously, you don't have to have this kind of studio process. You can do your own podcast in your own home with your phone nowadays. There's lots of things that you can do with technology, even for somebody as old as me. Although this part of the world, I don't understand. So I leave it to other people far more understanding about it and experiencing it than I am. So when I started this off in the early days, a couple of years ago now, well, probably over a couple of years ago by the time you hear this, it was really because some people were interested in my ideas, interested in the way I looked at the world, and they said I had something to say. Now, that was people telling me. And initially, I didn't necessarily take that on board because I'm not necessarily okay with being in front of a camera and this kind of side of things. But we are going back 2 years now. And then other people said at another time, yeah, you need to have a look at this and try this out and see where you're going. So I kind of got into it via that means, not necessarily thinking about doing it, but being persuaded to do it, let's put it that way. And it's been a journey of discovery in lots of different ways. It's made me much more okay in front of a camera, okay in front of this kind of tech process and the tech process that goes on behind the scenes. So my knowledge of that aspect, the technical side, has increased, which has been helpful for other things that I've done. But more importantly for me, it's about the interaction that I get from people, that they feed back what they think about these podcasts that I do and how they like them or don't like them, and create a kind of an understanding of how I might move forward. And I've changed over the years in how I present them and how it's worked, what I put in there, and the kind of ideas that I use and where I get them from. All those things have become part of the process. So I use fictitious clients, obviously not naming anything, but I use the ideas, the things that come up in my counselling world as possible ideas that people might find interesting, I suppose. And because that aspect of being in front of a camera and talking to whoever, I've no idea how many people are out there watching me. Well, I do because I can look at the stats, but I don't tend to do that, to be fair, because it might be that there's only one person looking. That wouldn't be helpful. As you in the previous podcast about rejection, that's not helpful. But I diverse of my intended process to talk to you about. So the things that I've learned is that every one of us has a journey, has a process of learning, has things that have happened to them or are happening to them. And that process means that they grow, develop, get better in some way, shape or form, or become more able to cope, more able to deal with things as going forward. And that is something that I think has been helpful. Now, some of that I've seen as feedback from the podcasts I've done. People have emailed me, talked to me. Even clients have come from watching me on podcasts. And they seem to have the idea when they do talk to me about it that actually it's helpful just to stimulate ideas, just to stimulate conversations, just to get people to think. Because we don't think an awful lot of the time, to be fair, we react. So my process in doing the podcast wasn't one of monetary value. It wasn't one that I'm looking to share and earn money from necessarily. Although obviously if clients come to me from the podcast, then yes, I am earning money from that process. So there is some financial gain to be had, but it's not the reason I do it. And I've found over the last couple of years that the ideas that I talk about, that I share, that I bring to this forum are not exclusive to me. They're part and parcel of most people's worlds. And I do use personal situations to explore as well, because that's helpful for me. But I found over the years, 20-odd years of doing counselling and helping people or supporting people to help themselves more the point, that there's lots of similarities in people's lives. There's lots of things that are different. But the core aspects of our world are very, very similar. They react differently and different things happen to us. But the core principles are very similar. And how we react to those core principles are sometimes very similar as well, depending on us, obviously. And sometimes we don't, in this world, take time out to think, to look at, or to analyse, because we haven't got time usually. Things that we do or things that we come across, we just deal with them, react with them, and we don't normally think about them. And I suppose for me, this podcast process has been helping people do that, helping people to analyse, to take things apart, look at things on that. I think in the journey for me personally, it's helped me to become more confident and more able to work with technology and to feel more comfortable having me out there. It's very hard sometimes for anybody that's doing any kind of public stuff with the forum that you use. And I got it with the first book, to be fair, which made me very self-conscious. The book was written not really to go out and be distributed. The book really was written for me. And it's my journey, a reflection process, if you like. And then when I shared the idea of the book with other people, they said, oh, no, that might be interesting to other people. So it became a distribution process. But that's not the reason I did it initially. Because my world is pretty much, I'm not comfortable with being out there. It's not one I strive for, people seeing me or people knowing me. I'm not that kind of a person. But in doing that, I've overcome that shyness, that aspect, And people do recognise me. People come up to me and say, "Hey, how are you?" Blah blah blah, and share some of the things I say and some of the ideas I go and present. And that process has been, as I said, increased my confidence and my self-esteem, and made me feel more valuable and valued and respected. And I think all those things have helped me become more me. I don't think anything I've done has been not me, but I think it's been hidden me. So maybe the hidden me, as we talked in a previous podcast about rejection and those kind of things, the hidden me has always possibly wanted to do this, but was not necessarily comfortable or shy about doing so. And so this process has helped me in that latter years of my life, obviously, to get to this point. But it's made me realise that there are things that initially I would kind of withdraw from or not interact with. And maybe that's not how it should be. Maybe we should try things to see if we're comfortable with them. Because we never know. We never know whether or not that's going to be okay or not okay until we've actually tried it. Yeah. New food. How do you know you like it until you actually try to eat it? And then, you might modify it. I'm not good with chilies nowadays. It's by the by. And so that process means that, we can move down this path of exploration. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it does work, great, we've developed. So I suppose what I'm saying, this process, this short podcast, don't put off things just because you don't know. Try them, because you never ever know where that's going to lead to. And so many times over the years I've done things, I've thought, I've no idea why I did that. But then something has happened that's been productive, positive, that's come from it. And that process means that I've enjoyed it. I look at it, I enjoy it, and I do it. And hopefully you can enjoy your worlds a bit more by maybe connecting to some of this stuff. So I suppose what I'm saying in essence is, don't say no, say maybe, try it out, see what you think, and then make the choice and decision. And then you can be more engaging with yourself. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the 2 years. If you have subscribed to this podcast, thank you for staying with me. It's a journey, and it's still journeying. But I really do appreciate the feedback and the stuff I get from you. And hopefully you appreciate what I give you. And that's helpful in some way, shape or form. Maybe not just for you, but maybe for somebody that you know or somebody that you connect to. So as always, please subscribe if you like it. Monday morning at 7 o'clock, I'm there, whether you like it or you don't like it. And share and like. And then hopefully that will create something that helps everybody, including me. Look after yourself. My name's Ian Wallace. I'm the Messed Up Counsellor. Take care. Oh, you got your... Hi, thanks for listening to the podcast, and hopefully it made sense and was interesting for you. Please subscribe, like and share. With the podcasts, you never know who will be helped by the things we talk about, things we share. We don't normally tell people our problems, but by sharing it and helping other people to understand things. The book Insecurity, It's All About Me, is also available now through Amazon. And it gives you an understanding of what drives insecurity, how insecurity works within our human dynamics, and how you can get a much more secure connection with people. It gives you lots of ideas and thoughts, which is really good. So thanks for listening. subscribe, like, share, hit the button. And if you've got any comments, please give me them and I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks very much. Take care.